Okay, this word problem says that Mrs. Wang is 23 years older than her daughter, and in 5 years, um, their ages will total 63. They want to know how old they are now. In this problem, in all of these problems, we need to know two things. By the way, a lot of times we'll use X and Y. We don't want to use that here. Since we have to find Miss Wang's age, did I spell it right? I think I spelled it wrong. Let's use a letter that makes more sense. Does W make sense for Miss Wang? And then for the daughter's age, again, we don't want to use Y, so let's use D for the daughter's age. Also, what I'm going to do is highlight those. So let's use blue, or yeah, let's use blue for Miss Wang's age, and let's use a different color. Let's say pink for the daughter's age. Okay. Now, like I said, and like I wrote down there, we want to write two equations. Again, I'm going to use a different color, and you don't have to. One of the equations, I'm going to call it the red equation, and we're going to get it from changing this sentence into an equation. It says Mrs. Wang's age is Mrs. Wang is 23 years older than her daughter. So the first thing we want to write is Mrs. Wang is, and we don't want to use words. We just want to use the letter W, and instead of the word is, we're going to write the symbol for equals. Mrs. Wang is, that's how we write Mrs. Wang is, 23 years older than her daughter. So whatever her daughter's age is, we're just going to use the letter D. We're just going to add 23 to it. And that's our first equation. So make sure you write that down. And we're going to call that our red equation. You don't need the red part, but just so we can know what we're talking about. That first equation we'll call the red equation. Go ahead and make sure you write that down. I'll pause for a minute. What we're going to do now is write another equation. Remember over on my notes there, I said we have to write two equations. The reason we want to write two is because we have two things that we have to find. Mrs. Wang's age and her daughter's age. So we need another equation that's going to express what that green sentence says. And what I want to write, this part I'm going to erase, but just so we'll be able to talk about it, we want to talk about Mrs. Wang's age in 5 years. It's going to be whatever her age is plus 5 years. Let me actually, Mrs. Wang's age in 5 years. That's going to be W plus 5. And her daughter's age in 5 years is just going to be D plus 5. Okay. Now, these are not equal. In fact, it says that the sum of these will add up to 63. The total will be 63. So what we're going to do is put a plus, that's how we take the sum, and equals 63. And that's going to be our second equation. Now I'm just going to make this a little bit neater. But I want you to write that equation down, please. I'm going to pause while you write it. Now we probably want to make it, I should say I'm definitely going to make it a little bit, I don't know, neater or easier to read here. I'll just, because it's kind of spread out right now, move that over a little bit. Maybe move this part over a little bit too. Okay. Slide the whole thing on here. All right, and we really don't need these notes anymore at the bottom, so I'm going to erase those for now. But that second equation, I'm going to call it the green equation. Now, I want you to think about something. I'm going to pause in a second. But what we're going to be able to do is to replace or substitute. I want to get used to that technical word. Something that's one of these letters is equal to. So let me just give you a hint here. We're going to be able to replace or substitute something in place of the W. We're going to be able to replace something else, replace the W with something else. Think about that for just a second. So I highlighted those because that means that that yellow that I highlighted with W is the same thing as D plus 3. And that means every time we see a W, and I see another W right here, wherever we see another W, we can replace that. We can substitute D plus 23 because that red box says that they're the same. So I'm going to write what I just said in a second here. Plus D plus 5 equals 63. But instead of writing W, since we're going to replace it with D plus 23, that's exactly what I'm going to do, 23. All right. Now this equation is actually easier, even though it's a little bit longer than the two that we have in the red and the green. And the reason it's easier is because it has only one letter, the letter D. It shows up a couple of times, but having just one letter makes our problem easier. So we're going to combine the like terms here. I'm going to combine, let me see what color I want to use here. I'm going to combine a D plus another D. That's going to give me 2D. All right, but I need more room. D plus D is just 2D. So I've got 2D. But I also have 23 plus 5 and plus another 5. That's 23 plus 10, and that's going to be 33. So 2D plus 33 equals 63. Now we can still combine like terms just on different sides of the equation. I've added 3, so we want to do the inverse of that. We want to subtract 3 from both sides. I want to subtract 3 from this side and subtract 3 from that side. These will simplify. Positive 3 and negative 3 adds up to 0. And we're left with 2D, and 63 minus 3 is going to be 60. So we're left with a much easier equation now. And the reason it's easier is because it only has one letter, one variable. Yeah, since we have 2 times D, or D times 2, we can solve for D by dividing both sides of that equation by 2. Divide the left side by 2, divide the right side by 2. And what's left is D equals 60 divided by 2 is 30. So that's a 0, and not very good one there. 30. So I'm going to highlight that because we said we wanted to use, we don't have to, but I'm going to use what I said, pink, for D. D represents the daughter's age. Okay. So we're halfway done with this problem. Actually, more than halfway. Yeah, if we use the red box, it's a little bit shorter, probably a little bit easier. And so I'm going to write what's in the red box. W plus D. I'm sorry, W equals is what I meant to say. What I meant to write. W equals D plus 23. Except I want you to remember that just a second ago, just a minute ago, we said that D is the same thing. It says right there. We said that D is the same thing as 30. So we can replace that D with 30. Okay. And that's what I'm going to, wait a minute, did I make a mistake here? Hold on a second. Yeah, I made a mistake. I said that we're going to get 33, and I need to go back here. Let me fix that. I said 33, but I didn't write it. Okay. I think I said it. 23 plus 5 isn't 3, it's 33. And I don't remember if I said it right or not. That should be 33. So what we need to do is subtract 33 from both sides. And then we'll get 2D is equal to 63 minus 33 is it's going to be 30. And so if we divide by 2, we'll get D equals 15. Maybe just a little more room if I can squeeze out here. Divide by 2, D is equal to 15. Okay, and again, I'm going to make that into pink. D is 15. So I'm going to go ahead and write that equation that you said again. W is equal to D plus 23. And that D, we're going to be able to replace it with 15. So I'm going to erase the D and replace it with 15. And so now we have W. W is just equal to 15 plus 23, which is 38. And I'm going to highlight that with blue. So W is equal to 38. All right. And those are our two answers. W is Mrs. Wang's age. So she's 38. Let me write that here. And D is her daughter's age. All right.